You've been on every diet there is, but nothing seems to work. The diet and fitness industry rake in billions of dollars every year, yet we're more overweight and out of shape than ever before. Why is that? Well, my guest today says he knows the answer. Hello, and welcome to Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll keep you updated on my most recent episode. So I am so excited to welcome Jeff Lader. He's a former professional bodybuilder, coach, speaker, father, husband, and he and his wife are leaders in the field of online nutrition and fitness, and they run a whole program called the Lader Lifestyle. Thanks so much for joining us, Jeff.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited about this.
Oh, yes, me too. I love fitness and nutrition. I've been involved in this my entire life, and it's just so interesting to me. But you said in your bio and in all of the things on your website that the fitness industry is lying to us. Why is that?
Oh, that's probably putting it mildly, honestly. I mean, I think that you see it a lot in a lot of different industries, but in something that's intended to help people, you don't get a lot of help. And as you mentioned just in your intro there, that we are getting worse off as from a health perspective and from a body composition perspective as a nation. We're not getting any healthier. We're getting worse.
I know.
In fact, I even think
so much
that
money.
yeah, I think the life expectancy is actually starting to go down.
Very scary.
Which is interesting. Consider all the advancements in technology that we have. But when you start to look at how our culture is and the dieting solutions, and I would put air quotes with that, that are presented to us, most of the time we're not getting any better. Most of the time we're getting worse. And so when I say the fitness industry is lying to us, it's because they're not presenting any real solutions to us. They're presenting front end tactics, dieting techniques that are appeasing our and preying on our insecurities, and they don't really present any solutions that are going to last.
Yeah.
And so people, they can lose weight and then just gain it back. And I think that's not necessarily our fault. It's just what is being presented to us, and that's how they make money, and that's what we're left with.
It's unfortunate that we have to actually re-educate ourselves about diet and fitness when and this is my thing that I always wish would change in our society, that we should be taught this as kids. We should be taught this every year, just like we're taught math and science, and because what's more important than our health? And yet we're not. It's like we don't even discuss it, what we eat, or maybe you get one section on it in class in sixth grade, but we really don't focus on it. And then we wonder why, when people get older, they really have no idea of really good nutrition. I mean, they know an apple's better than a donut, but they really don't get the whole picture. And they also don't really have fitness or, a fitness lifestyle as part of their routine. So what can we do? What do you and your wife do with your program to try to change all of this?
You touched on so many different things that I could go off on tangents there
Yes.
with, even starting with childhood, but because I've got three beautiful young daughters that we've tried to raise the right way, that they have that foundation. But going to your question, like, what do we do? Well, we really do focus on the education side of things. We want them to understand nutrition. We want them to be able to fit this into their life rather than them having to really conform and change so many different things in their life. I think that's oftentimes what we encounter when we try to find a solution. Like, I want to lose weight, so I Google what's the best diet or what's the fastest diet, or I see a friend that did keto online and they lost 30 pounds in 30 days, so I'm going to do that now too. So we're easily influenced by solutions that present usually the easiest and the fastest options. And as you and I both know, fast and easy when it comes to weight loss usually spells disaster. It usually doesn't lead to any sort of long-term results. And so, we try to present, we try to help them understand nutrition. And then beyond that, we try to help them get past the limiting beliefs that they have inside their own head, and some of the limiting factors that control their decision-making, their behaviors, because ultimately that is what drives our health. It's what's happening in here. And so we focus a lot on that with our coaching, and it's almost kind of a hybrid of life coaching and physique coaching, because I think they're very much connected.
Yeah, you
And
get a lot more now. Like it's a lot of it is the mind thing. It's not just, you can look up a diet and follow a
right.
diet, but right, if you're not going to change your whole attitude towards it, you're just going to gain the weight back.
Exactly. I mean, like you said, you can Google a diet, and almost any diet can work, right?
Hmm.
They can. Some are more sustainable than others, without a doubt. But unless you can get past some of those behaviors that are so ingrained in us and our beliefs about ourselves and about food, then you're going to remain stuck. You're going to lose weight temporarily. You're going to gain it back. You're just going to be stuck in this cycle of losing the same 5 to 15 pounds for the rest of your life, really not getting any further ahead, usually further behind.
Absolutely. People end up gaining more weight back, and it's a vicious cycle because you're gaining weight, you feel depressed or upset or embarrassed, whatever the word is. So then you eat more and then you gain more weight. And then you say, oh my gosh, I have to stop it. You go on a diet again. It's a cycle and it just never seems to stop for people. So what do you actually do? What do you and your wife do with the later lifestyle, using your name later?
Yeah. Well, I think restriction is what causes some of that behavior that you just mentioned. We tend to we develop these cravings. We develop a bad relationship with food because we start to restrict specific types of food. And I think when you look at the fitness industry as a whole, there are very dogmatic views on how you should go about it, right? Like fats are evil, carbs are evil. You need to eat in this window of time. You need to cleanse your body of this. There's all sorts of very dogmatic ways of thinking,
Mhm.
and it's like, this is the only way, this is the best way, and I despise that, because I think it's very close-minded, and we have to accept that we're all individuals, we're all unique, we have unique schedules, unique demands, unique preferences, and because of that, we need to find something that fits for the individual. But not only that, I think we need to avoid heavy restriction, right? So if somebody restricts carbs because they think carbs are fattening or inherently bad, there's various opinions on that, but that creates somewhat of a phobia with somebody. And so they're like, oh, well, carbs are bad. And if I eat a carb, then I'm a bad person. And well, since I already ate, a cracker, or I finished my kid's mac and cheese, I may as well order a pizza and binge for the rest of the day. Right. So
That
it's,
is so, you just hit the nail on the head. I'm sure people listening would be saying, you know what, that's me. I've done it. I know it. I blew it now. So I might as well just eat it all.
yeah.
Right.
And that's not normal behavior. That's learned behavior.
Yeah.
That's something that we do as a result of dieting. Like that's where that's born from.
Mhm.
It's not in us to be like, well, and I have a great example about this, which I'll share with you in a minute with my daughters. But I think when we restrict so heavily, and we were told these certain things, these dogmatic views by so many, so-called experts and gurus out there, usually money driven, financially motivated, we tend to create a bad relationship with food, and we have body dysmorphia, and it just creates all sorts of problems. And that's why,
Yeah.
look
And
at what.
sometimes people just feel like they can't get out of it. Like they've
Yeah,
tried too many times and that just who cares anymore. And that's what really worries me because that's when
yeah,
people's health
they give up.
really starts to suffer heart disease and diabetes. And you just go downhill from there. And, I guess one of the things that we probably need to do is just try to make it a little bit easier on people and not such a monumental task. And I think a lot of people will say, all right, that's it. I'm going on a diet. I'm eating nothing but lettuce and I'm going to train 5 days a week. And they just try to take it all on too much. And it's overwhelming. And no one can
Yeah.
sustain that. You got to kind of, like you said, figure out what works for you.
Yeah, and with what you described, that's almost every diet out there. It's extremes, right? So you cut out all carbs. Are you going to do that forever? Probably not, right? And I guess one way to really test yourself to see if it is something you can stick to is, can you like ask yourself, can you see yourself doing this or eating this way for the rest of your life? If the answer is no, don't ever start, because it's going to lead to phobias. It's going to lead to disordered eating patterns, and whatever weight that you do lose, you're going to gain it right back once you discontinue that diet, because diets inherently have an expiration date. They have
Right.
an ending.
Right.
Like, I'm going to do this 30-day challenge. I'm going to do this, diet for the next 60 to 90 days, whatever it is. I'm going to lose X amount of pounds. But if you don't continue, if you don't incorporate any sort of healthy habits that become a permanent part of your life, then whatever you do is going to be temporary, and whatever
Yes.
results that you get are going to be temporary.
Well, the first three letters in diet spell die. So nobody wants to do that. So that's not
Yeah.
good. But tell me the story about your daughter.
Well, yeah. So it's interesting because, kids, they speak their mind. They're kind of untainted to what we face as adults. We learn so many things and we go through these diets and stuff like that. So as a bodybuilder, I have been through the strictest diet in the world. I mean, everything matters. Everything from sleep to everything that you eat, how much water you drink. It's very, very, very strict. You cannot deviate because it'll show up on your body when you're that lean. You eat the wrong thing, you can see it on someone's physique. So super, super strict, right? So when I was getting ready for competitions, I happen to have a deep passion for donuts. I really like donuts. I think they're America's favorite food. I mean, they're my favorite food for sure. But when I couldn't eat those, obviously, when I'm getting ready for a competition, and I had, my three daughters, that I would love for them to enjoy a donut almost on my behalf, almost like so I could eat it vicariously through them. So I'd bring it home. And I remember when I started doing this, they'd be really excited, like, oh, dad brought donuts. Really fun. And they'd chow down. And it was probably because it was more frequent, but they'd show up with donuts, and sometimes one or two of them would have them. And I have three daughters, and one or two of them would be like, yeah, I don't really feel like that right now. Maybe tomorrow, or maybe I just won't have one this time. And I remember when I first encountered this, my thoughts were like, what in the world? Why would you not eat this? Like, consequence free, guys. You're not going to get fat from this. You don't have to worry about it. You're not getting ready for a competition. You can just enjoy a nice maple bar. It's sitting there right in front of you. And it didn't make me mad. It was more like, why? I didn't understand it. Like, it's just because I had some disordered eating from so much restriction that I went through. And so I started to realize I'm like, it's because they have a good relationship with food. They know that, okay, if I don't eat a donut today, I can eat a donut maybe next week or tomorrow. It's not just because it's in front of me, I need to devour it. And so it's just because they haven't been exposed to restriction. They haven't been exposed to dieting culture. And because of that, they have a great relationship with food.
Yeah, well, and that's really great that you taught them that, because I think the first thing that happens as human beings when we're told you can't have something is that's when we want it. That's just
Exactly.
human nature. You're not allowed to have it. That's when you want it more. And so that's why I love that you said that, because you just look at it and I can have it. It's not going to have control over me. I don't have to have it. I can't have it. That's a really healthy relationship with food. I love that. But so people are so focused on the end goal of weight loss, and they sort of forget about the journey to get there, along the way, and changing what they need to change, as opposed to just, okay, I'm going to just follow this, right to the end. As you said, there'll be an end, and then they go back to what they do. So tell me
Right.
what you and your wife do with the later lifestyle.
Well, so we, everything that we do is personalized to each person. So we try to create a plan that's going to fit into their daily schedule, fit into their food preferences. If they have a family, we want to make sure that they can eat with their family and still stay on track. Because if you really want to create lifelong change, it has to be something that you can see yourself doing forever. So it can't be something that is such a huge contrast from what they're already doing. Now, some people, granted, have some pretty awful habits and they live
Yeah.
a very unhealthy lifestyle. So for some of them, it is a little bit more drastic, but at the same time, you can't you flip this switch. And if somebody has no idea, how to exercise at all, then we're not going to throw them into a, big weight training workout and get them into the gym. That's not going to work. So we meet them where they're at. So wherever they're at in their journey, wherever they're at with their experience with exercise, with their relationship with food, we try to create a plan that meets them where they're at. And then from there, obviously the accountability factor is huge. We're creating, customized plans for them and holding them accountable, guiding them, supporting them. We have a great support system. Internally, we have some very talented coaches and very caring coaches, very empathetic coaches, but also will challenge you when you need to be challenged. So it's a good balance. And I think that our coaching style of, going beyond just the surface level tactics of like, eat this, don't eat that. It's more like Okay, you ate that. Why did you eat that? What made you want to do that? Why do you want to do this? What drives you to making this decision? What do you want to get out of this? What do you think your limiting factors are? And so we try to go deeper, and that really helps us get to the root cause of the behaviors that have led to them maybe being overweight or unhealthy. And we try to fix it at the root, because otherwise anything surface level, it's like trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken arm. You're just never going to fix it.
Do you
So
find that people have an aha moment? Like, oh my gosh, I
yeah,
get it now. That's
yeah, we
really, really
do.
for you.
Yeah, it's those moments are, there's nothing better. From a just, even if I'm being selfish, from a personal fulfillment standpoint, it's amazing to see somebody experience that. And it's, and whenever we see that happen, and we turn back, or we fast forward, and we're looking back on those moments, we're like, that's when that moment happened, and everything changed from that point. And it wasn't a dieting tactic that made that happen. It wasn't that they restricted carbs, or that they all of a sudden like learned how to weight train, or they were able to, increase their endurance, and they can run faster. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with what's going on inside their heads, and how they viewed things, and their behavior change, and the habits that they were able to incorporate into their life. That really is where real change happens, not the dieting tactics, because
Yeah,
any sort of tactic can work.
sure. And that's the hardest thing to change, or your habits, and the emotions attached to food. That's a whole
Yeah.
nother, we could talk about that. When you're younger, celebration, you go out for food. It's great. I mean, it's a family dinners, all of that. But we're taught, food is associated with emotions. People are down, they go get something to eat, they go get a drink. It's like part
Yeah.
of our emotions. It's not just, we don't just eat to survive. We eat for so many other reasons.
Mhm.
I mean, we could do a whole nother podcast on that. But that is so great that you do that with people, and you actually talk to them one-on-one. It's not just a program where you sign up and here's your, robot telling you what to do,
Yeah.
right? You actually talk to people.
Yeah. I mean, if all you're ever doing is adjusting a meal plan for somebody, then you might as well be a robot. There's
Yeah.
no human behind it. But no, I mean, it's a relationship based free form coaching style. And when I say free form, I mean, it's not curriculum based. It's whatever that person needs. And so we do have, things that we would love for them to learn, but it also needs to be adapted to that individual. And so the coach tailors it to that person. And
Mhm.
sometimes we're working on habits that aren't associated with fitness, that serve as a bridge to us getting there. But again, it's all about meeting them where they're at.
Sure.
And the end goal is, in what they will say, is they want to lose weight, but that's not really what they're after. It's what that brings to their life, and what that means to their life. And it's not, and I'm not even talking about health necessarily.
Mhm.
It's more like the benefit of the benefit, right? So if somebody wants to lose weight, they lose weight and they feel more confident. So they could say, I want it for increased confidence. But why do you want to have increased confidence? Well, it could mean that you start a new relationship, or that your relationship improves, or maybe that you have better intimacy with your spouse, or that you advance in your career, and you have more confidence in your business relationships. Maybe it improves your salesmanship. I don't know. There's so many benefits that come from a physical change
Mhm.
that go beyond the surface.
Of course.
And so many people don't look at that from that standpoint, but that's how I view it, because
No,
that's
I
all they're after.
completely understand that. And I think anyone listening would totally agree with that, that it's not just the weight loss, it's what that actually represents to you in your
Yeah.
life, and how that makes you feel as a person. It really changes everything. It really does. And just
Yeah.
feeling healthy, the whole point of just being able to walk up the stairs without getting winded, or just feeling good, play with grandkids or kids, and just living a better, healthy lifestyle. There's so many other benefits than just fitting into your jeans. That's
Right.
one little sliver of it. And when you work with people, you do it online, but you also provide, don't you have educational videos and workout, you show them exactly how to do it. It's all online, but they can do it on their own, right?
Yeah. It's comprehensive, so we try to provide everything that they could possibly need, but then it's also, customized according to whatever might be going on in their life. We have a lot of resources available to us, a lot of things that we do for each individual. But there is a human behind it. We do have an app that we use where, there's workouts on there with video examples of how to perform the movement. And, there's tracking and stuff like that. That's honestly, you can find that stuff everywhere. You really can. And I wouldn't say that we're any more special than anybody else. There's tons of great apps out there. There's tons of great workouts, tons of great dieting tactics out there. But I would say if there's anything that distinguishes us, it's that we care. We care about the individual and we want to see them succeed. And that may mean an unorthodox path to get there. And we're willing to do that. I mean, with one particular individual, and I won't share their details, but we had to start incorporating, daily accountability on brushing their teeth. And that's where we started. And then all of a sudden it led to him having huge breakthroughs on the fitness side of things. But it started with a very simple daily habit, which is something that we're all doing, right? But we built upon that. And it led to so many other things. And it's funny because we've had coaches that we've had to let go because they didn't see that vision. They thought it was cheesy, thought it was too primary, but it depends on the individual, and if that leads to that person having a huge breakthrough, is it worth it? Yeah, it's totally worth it. And do you think it's going to have a bigger impact on that person for the rest of their life versus someone else that all you ever did was increase their calories or decrease their calories?
Right. Absolutely. And do you work with them on a weekly basis, monthly? How does that work?
We're weekly is how often they check in with us, but we're essentially on call 24/7.
That's incredible. That really is so interesting. And it's a beautiful site, really nice app. And I looked at all of that before we started talking. And where can people reach out to you, Jeff, if they want to learn more?
The easiest way, and just the easiest way, since everybody's already there, is Instagram. So just Jeff Later, JEFFLATER. You can find me on there. You can shoot me a message. That's the best way to find me. All my links are on there too.
Okay. All right. You want to give your website and spell it or no?
I can. Yeah. It's laterlife.com. L8R was the number 8, laterlife.com.
Okay. Yeah. I know you said people have trouble with that one, but I will put that in the show notes so people can reach out to you there.
That would be great.
Thank you so much for your time. Such an interesting conversation and really touched on something I think so many of us can relate to. So I really appreciate your joining us today, Jeff Later.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining me today for Living Well with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life. Again, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will keep you updated on my most recent episode. Until I see you next time, please keep living well.